Okay, hi. Thanks, Jazz. Brilliant presentation as usual. But interesting insights from there. In fact, the first question that I had was the Annapurna experience. So you're saying that the Indian housewife was so comfortable with the mobile phone that they had so many conversations on that through the mobile phone? That's my first question.
It was not a conversation. It was an initiative of content to how to make her understand, how to engage with her on a category which probably didn't have a high engagement value, to talk about health of her and her family. And the point here that the reason I gave this example is that we could very well and most likely have done this and traditionally would have done this in a women's magazine.
Right.
Okay, and ask people to tick all the points and would come to the same answer. But we feel that the kind of response that we were able to measure and the kind of response we got was because we felt that we took content into a device which was of comfort to our consumer. This is not to say that television or print was not comforting to her. It's just that the numbers that we got was because of the comfort that she has with the device today, as opposed to what we could have done on a static one-way medium, because I can do it in print and she's comfortable with the medium, but I really don't get a feedback on the response on how many people actually participated in that content interaction.
Fair. And just another question, again coming from the fact that somebody like Annapurna tried something like this, which is that, in fact you can take the hand mic if you want, Aishwarya has one. Yeah. So is it that it is, you know, we often give the example of the more evolved brands, whether it's a Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Unilever, when it comes to using new media. But in your experience, is it the bigger brands, the evolved brands that is using this media, or do you see the smaller players probably experimenting a bit more, probably doing a bit more with digital?
So we have a whole mixed bag of clients on this front, and there is no one answer to it, because I can tell you we have very traditional brands who will be like 99% on television, but then because of a global initiative were forced to do something in the digital space and experimented, worked very well, and today they are asking us to set up digital teams for them, digital immersion sessions for them. So there is that one where they were arm twisted by global to do it. On the other hand, we have technology brands, which for them this is television. Okay, and then we have a mix of mid brands, both international, both local, and I think that the adoption rate is really high. And the adoption rate is, no one has ever, I've never seen. In fact, we joke about it that in 2009 and 10, when the slowdown took place, as compared to 10 years ago when there was that Asian recession, and when all mediums besides television almost died away, in this slowdown, one of the mediums that actually grew and grew much higher than any other was the new media and digital space. It was because people were seeing the value beyond just an experiment and beyond just ad hoc interaction. Of course, you have to keep in mind that the outlays are very low, so it's not that big a concern when people take that. It's not such a big risk as yet for anyone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since we're running really very short on time, we can actually take two questions, last two questions, really. Okay, can I request the A4M team to lead the next?
Hi, Jasmine.
Yeah.
Just a couple of points. One, a clarification on the Star Wars film that you showed. What was that about? What was that, a game created within television?
It was an opportunity that the carrier was offering its subscribers to play that game, to get out of the screen of where they were watching through one of, I think, like the equivalent of us where you have those red button options, to get out and play that game and then come back into the show. So it is, what you're saying is that you put interesting content which is already doing well, and you are now engaging and with your audiences even more by allowing them to participate in a game if they want to.
Like interactive television. That's
like interactive television.
The second point, which is, you know, about that...
yeah, I told you it was not a very clear video, but the reason I wanted to show it, despite the video not being a good option, was because I feel that, we feel at least, that going forward, the carrier and broadcaster need to come together a lot more on content and technology to make this work for us, because there's a huge amount of opportunity on technology that the carriers are capable of providing, but are still currently more about how many subscribers do I have is the game. The number game seems to be still priority with them. And we think they need to go beyond that.
Another small point is, that 7 p.m. North thing that you were talking about. These are interesting things to do, which come across as very unique and innovative. But as you said rightly, the cost is the determining factor in terms of how much of your spend you're putting to that. And there's no metrics, to sort of figure out. So how do you sort of decide, where do you draw the line in terms of how much am I paying for this? You don't want to overpay. At the same time, the broadcaster wants to make sure anything unique and innovative is sort of leveraged financially. Yeah,
you usually have see, at this stage, mostly everything is in experimentation mode. So the outlays are low, the cost efficiencies of the CPRP metrics equivalents are very limited. But typically what you would do whenever we do, and this is not just on this medium, but wherever we have reached a new opportunity and we want to we benchmark it with what is the value I'm getting if I was to take a 30-second spot and get a similar kind of probably numbers generation in terms of ratings or TRPs, versus if I'm doing this, I may get similar numbers. I may pay the same amount, but instead of a 30-second spot, I'm getting a more targeted or a communication which is more relevant. Also, it could be that I may be hitting the right audience. So it's really, you will benchmark it to what your current metrics or where the money is coming out of. If budgets are a big concern, there are enough clients where budgets may not be a concern and they just want to experiment and see where this takes them, and then we derive metrics once we've seen the kind of results we generate. The good thing is that a lot of the experimentative stuff today is being viewed at for the kind of engagement that is delivering, and not only the number and the CPRP equivalent. So it's not always about a cost efficiency. It's also first whether I'm starting to make a different connect beyond my traditional communication and advertising.
Okay, we might have to take the rest of the questions offline. Just one last question here in the center.
Yeah, hi, Jasmine. This is Pankaj from the Week magazine. It's certainly a way forward to, the idea that you've given is to convert the advertising into content and take the content social. But the question that I want to ask is that today every advertiser is under tremendous pressure to generate sales lead from every advertising that he's doing. By taking the content social and taking the advertising into content, do you think it will generate the sales lead which a traditional media advertising generates? That's one. And secondly, one of the challenges of taking the content social and the brands getting into social media for interactions and debates is that it may generate a lot of negativity. A lot of negative discussion starts happening when you get into social networking, which which might be a result of you giving an opportunity for the prospective consumers to talk negative about your brand. That's what is happening. So how do you control that? Yeah,
both questions we have had enough debate and discussion, and both really good questions. In the first case, and like I said in my presentation, is that if you are, firstly, you're not talking about killing your traditional advertising and that no more television, no more 30-second, let's put everything on content. No. What we are saying is that you need to go beyond an innovation when you're doing content, and you need to make it part of integrate it into your communication. It cannot be an ad hoc one-off thing. If it's ad hoc one-off, it's never going to work, and then you will always keep that as a benchmark and say TV work better or print work better or something else. My sales force tells me that because you did it in an ad hoc way. But if you are seriously taking, and we have enough of cases we can talk later on about advertisers who have invested in content, which the same level of investment that they put when they're making a TV film. And it has obviously worked for them. So you start small and then you see whether you can scale it off, and there's always going to be a trade-off and a balance, and you're never going to do a 0-100 game anyway. That's the first one. The second question that you asked was on, sorry, what was it on? Yeah, the negative one. And we've had enough of, because particularly because one of my key clients is Johnson & Johnson's, and these are concerns that people like this have because the entire equity is based on trust. So people who are, we have situations, finance clients, banking clients, where they are welcoming that conversations because they want to know, okay? Because they feel that not knowing is worse than, if the conversation is anyway there, people are talking, if I'm not going to do anything about it, that's really just basically an ostrich approach. It's not addressing the approach. So a lot of people feel that, and it's true, initially that's what happens. You give people a forum, they will talk. And when they talk, they will start talking negative also. But that starts dying down, and then you pick up from there what you want, and you've got to understand that there's a lot of merit in that conversation that's coming. It's not just negativity for the sake of someone being not irrational on the medium. But yes, you have to, and we have enough clients who are very scared of that and who are not willing to take that chance. Fortunately, we found that finance clients who are probably at much more sensitive and risk are very willing to experiment and to find out what negative information is out there and to course correct. The important thing is the course correction. If you're just going to collect that information, it's irrelevant. Yeah?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Ladies and